My name's Sveen, and I'd like to introduce everyone to Annette. She is a self-taught mixed media artist and epilepsy advocate. What I really loved is that in your work, you try to break out of the stereotypes that are attached to the neurological condition, yet embracing the fact that it's because of epilepsy that you discovered art therapy, and that changed your way of life. And with that being said, can you tell us a bit about, like you said, your journey with epilepsy and your journey as an artist and how that came to be?
I'm 55 years old and I suffer from drug-resistant epilepsy. I think I've gone through all of the medications for epilepsy in the 46 years that I've had it. My journey with epilepsy has been very much like I say, I never felt I didn't talk about it a lot. I was diagnosed at 9. I must have had a lot in my sleep that went unnoticed, and then my room was next to my parents, and my mum kept hearing me, and it wasn't right. And then she kept having to come and almost start me breathing again because my breaths were wrong. So it became an urgent thing. So it's something that she always was very careful when I was growing up, that I had proper bedtimes and everything. So I felt I have 2 older sisters, and so I felt very different being brought up to their lives were very different to mine, and I still feel very different to them. But it's just the way things have gone. Our lives have gone in very different directions. But I had a normal schooling. I was very lucky, and I managed to have a normal job. I worked as a sound engineer for the BBC, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. But it became too dangerous when I started having seizures in the daytime. So I then started realizing that life was going to change, totally change. I had a partner, and we got married. We had considered not having children, but then I'd changed my consultant, and I'd got a brilliant professor from the London Hospital of Neurology and Neurosurgery, and Professor Duncan he took me off Epilim. It's been in the news lately. He took me off it 26 years ago, saying it wasn't good for having a baby. And so I managed to have Max, and I had a perfect child. And I'm so glad. And ever since then, well, when I started doing my art, and someone said they wanted to buy it, I said, if ever I sell any art, the money is going to go to the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery. So that's what it does, because I'm going to have to give back, because they gave me a child. And I just have realized that it's my art doesn't have a certain, I don't follow a set pattern, a certain blueprint of, you can't say, oh, that piece is by Annette, because it depends if I've had a lot of seizures at night, or if I've taken a lot of medication, it'll be different. My brain pattern's different, and I'm sure it comes across on the canvas. It's like now my brain's completely gone now, and I've even forgotten what you asked me, where I was going with this. So it's it's something that has just naturally come about. My life has just progressed this way.
Mhm.
And through not talking about epilepsy to, sorry, my not talking about epilepsy at all, I'm now flipped to now shouting about it from the rooftops,
Mhm.
because it's something that's really, really important. That I can't believe that we're I'm this old, this far down, and lots of people still don't know that I suffer from the condition. And I actually had someone say, when I told them I had epilepsy, they went, "No, you don't." I went, "Yes, I do." They went, "No, you don't," because they don't see me have a seizure. And if people don't see me have a seizure, they don't think I have it. And that's why a hidden illness is just so hidden. And
Yeah.
it makes us hide as well. I'm sure it's made me hide. I know, I actually think that I have hidden away a lot when I'm bad. When I've had really rough times, I know that I've hidden away.
Mhm.
Um, and so I just now thought, well, I'll go out even when I know that times are rough. And I go across the road to my local shop, and they catch me, and they're great. Even the butcher, I've got some butchers that will catch me and then they will carry me home. I have a park where the park warden will has got one of those little buggies, and if I have a seizure in the park, he'll put me on his I've got his number on my mobile phone. He'll put me on his buggy, and he'll get one of his groundsmen to get my dog, and they'll bring me home. So I'm not hiding anymore.
Yeah. And that's really inspiring to hear, because I from everything you said, I relate to you in so many ways. And when you were saying about hiding it, like I hid it for so many years. Actually, now is the first time I've come out publicly about it. And like you were saying, how, you know, you got diagnosed at 9 and you have two older sisters. I also have two older sisters. I was diagnosed at 9. And I completely understand what you mean about feeling different and like your upbringing because of, you know, the medical trials we have to go through and the unpredictability of it. Like that was a big thing, or fearing like, okay, when's the next one going to happen? And going through that in your upbringing, it can be really scarring in a way. But then through that, finding this artistic outlet like you have, and your paintings are just absolutely beautiful. And I love how open you are about it, because like you said, the fact that now there are still people who do not know about epilepsy. And I've had actually a comment where someone said similar to like, uh, you know, yeah, you might have epilepsy, but like you are completely normal, you know, you live a normal life. So it's like you don't even have it. And I was like, what? You know, and so that in itself is a really big problem. But that's why I think it's amazing to have these conversations to show people like where we're at, where we can be. And I was gonna say I thought it was really interesting when I was reading that when you paint, you can tell which paintings were created before, after, or even during a seizure.
Yeah.
Could you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I have one painting which I called Seize the Day, which is kind of but I actually had a seizure on the painting, and obviously went back to it, and a lot of it is covered up, but there's still some very obvious marks of which was the seizure happening. I usually drop the brush or whatever it is, but I just happened to, because sometimes, you know, your muscles clench, and my muscles just wouldn't let go of the brush, and my hand's jerking, and the canvas is in front of me and the paint's still going on it, and I just had, that's it, that was my seizure on the canvas. But then I also had have another painting that was actually my first big sale, and I'm just so proud of it. That it's called I actually called it Titration, because it was when I was being weaned onto a new drug that was helping me, and it was just clear that this was I mean, the composition is, if you read composition books and they tell you to have these spaces and clear bits, and so the eye can travel round, and then resting places, it was all of that. And if you look at the color wheel and these colors go together, it was all of that. And the gentleman that bought it, he just loved it, and he took an artist friend with him, who said, yes, that's the piece you need to buy. And I just thought it was because I was clearly on a drug that was doing me good. And all drugs tend to, I know I've got drug resistant epilepsy, but all the drugs, they do something at first, and then my body just either gets used to them or kicks them out, and just it all just goes to pot. But at that moment I was on a really good streak. But likewise, I've got one painting that has nobody has ever seen it. It is just awful.
No.
Well, honestly, the colors just don't go. It's all over the place. I don't know why I haven't painted over it. I really don't. But I think it's from a really bad time of when I was going through a really rough time. And I think I might have had severe side effects of drugs, and it was before I was taken off this because I was on 4 drugs at one time, and then I went and saw a second neurologist who said, you know, well, you shouldn't be on that many anyway. And but this painting just is awful. But yeah, I mean, the majority of my seizures are in the night, and I went through about 30 years of not having a night without having about 5 or 6 seizures, and my husband was getting smashed in the leg by my hand. And then I had then I did a painting after I had a complete night's sleep. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've just slept all through the night. And I did a painting, and it just shows, you can tell that I don't know, I was just relaxed, I was happy, and yeah. And that one sold as well at an art fair. And the guy came back to it 3 times. He just looked at it and he went, something's drawing me back to that. And I didn't tell him that, because I didn't want him to think, well, I don't know, you don't want people to look at my art and think that feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's or to think that it comes from a place of angst, or for them, if they've got that picture on their wall, to look at it and think of someone having a seizure. That would make me upset. So I never put a piece out there unless it's unless I've completed it and it's feeling hopeful. And I can look at it and feel happy and hopeful. So yeah, but there's been there's been a few paintings that I've sort of not wanted to let go of. And then there was one I had and I kept at home, and I had it propped up against the wall, and then I had a seizure and fell on it, and it split.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was my husband's favorite that I'd done. I was quite sad.
No, but I mean, overall, just hearing how each painting holds a different story and a different background to it and different meanings is really like interesting, because you everyone, when you look at artwork, there's always like a story behind it, but to know that that correlates with your epilepsy, and like you said, in ways of when you feel hope, that's when you know it, you feel like it's, you know, time to share it, or
Mm,
put that out.
yeah.
And what I was going to say too, in the art community, like, was painting something that you always knew you wanted to do growing up, or was it once, you were dealing with the epilepsy and going through that, that it came to be?
I always used to draw and do stuff like that, but no, like at school I didn't do art. At school I did pottery and woodwork and stuff that I couldn't do at home. At home I could draw.
Mhm.
But no, it wasn't until I came back to art at the when I was in hospital for 6 weeks, and I didn't want to sit around all the other people that had epilepsy, because I don't know whether you've been around a lot of people with epilepsy, but it's like dominoes. If
Mhm.
one person has a seizure, they all go down. And I was in a room with about 20 people, and I was just getting, it was quite, well, it's quite frightening for a start, but for other people, and for and for and for people that understand. But and I just thought I didn't want to be there. So I used to go out to the art studio, and I used to look forward to spending time in the studio. And then I realized, actually, I love this. I really love this. And I can paint, and I don't need, and I can have double vision, and I can be shaking, and I can do abstract, because it doesn't matter if I've got double vision and I'm shaking. No one's going to judge me that I can't draw a bowl of fruit and say that doesn't look like a bowl of fruit, because I'm not drawing a bowl of fruit. Um, so yeah, it was like no judgment, painting expressions, and it just helped.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Like, with abstract, that's the cool thing with abstract, is no one can say, what are you, what, like like you said with the bowl of fruit. They can't say anything. It's abstract, it's your own, it's a piece of you that you're putting into it, and
Absolutely.
in unique ways. Do you have any advice for other people with epilepsy that want to get into different art forms, or are looking for ways to have that therapeutic outlet, or just any advice from what you've learned over the years, or what you would tell them if they are looking to do similar careers to yourself?
Um, well, well, do you know, for a start, um, I'm not very good at advice, because I'm not very good at taking it.
Yeah.
So I'm not very good at giving it either. I have to just put that out there. But I'd say just go for it. Um, but I would say choose an art form. If it's painting, um, choose a non-toxic paint,
Mm.
because you're going to get messy. I mean, I've had a lot of seizures and got covered. And I know if I'd had oil paint on me, um, it would, or I'd had dropped terps whilst I was doing it and stuff like that. Or if you've got children or pets around you have to think of all of these things.
Mhm.
But I I did start doing I don't know if you know fluid art. I did a course on fluid art where you pour um the paint.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got it all over me. I had to stop. It For a start, it was so messy,
Mhm.
and I was getting covered. And if I had a seizure, and I had this huge tray that I could just literally drop everything in and then fall to the floor. But if I didn't manage to drop it in the tray and it dropped on me, then there'd be a lot of cleaning up to do. And also, it wasn't very ecologically friendly, because I
Mhm.
was wasting all of this paint.
Yeah.
So I had to stop that, even though I enjoyed it. Um, and I think that was when I first started Instagram as well. So there's loads of that on that at the beginning of my Instagram. But so then I decided um that just straight onto the canvas was better.
Yeah.
And pastels are fabulous. When
Mhm.
I was in hospital, I took some actually it was the second time I took them. In the first time I actually got Amazon I got Amazon delivery of a sketch pad and some pastels in, because I knew I was going to be in there for a long time. And yeah, just pastel crayons.
Mhm.
Yeah, just brilliant, because depending on how your seizures are controlled, um, if you drop something, it's fine. And if you can play, you can do your children. If you've got children,
Mhm.
they're crayons and pencils. And some people who do some fabulous work with just everyday pencil, charcoal. And I've just honestly seen some fabulous, fabulous art that's done with the most simple tools
Mhm.
on paper. And
Mhm.
so it's just start with anything and let your electrical brainstorms, the electricity the too much electricity that you've got in your brain, just bring it out creatively,
Mhm.
and just make some good come from it.
Yeah.
Try and be try and flip it so that you've got the you're try and be an optimist, really. It's like waiting for it's like waiting for the cure, or waiting for something that's going to make your life better. Whilst you're doing that, make your life better somehow, and prettier.
Yeah.
Art makes your life prettier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. And actually, while you were saying, which I think is good for other people with epilepsy, to think about is, you ordered an Amazon package to the hospital, but that way you had something to do within that period. And I remember there was a point where I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I had nothing to, like, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I was very young, but I remember just sitting and like staring at the TV, or just not, having this wide range of anxiety. Whereas that's a really good piece of advice too, is, find even if it's a coloring book or some kind of art form that you can
Yeah.
do to not only pass time, but just let out whatever you're feeling into that. So yeah.
Another artist friend of mine, on Instagram, part of the art community, the has epilepsy, and was in the Chalfont Centre with me. In we used to take it in turns to order little Amazon packages. And I think we used to annoy the lady on reception, because she used to say, "Oh God, which room am I taking this to today? And who's got the biggest package?" But sometimes we were ordering things that were only like £3 or £4 worth of stuff,
Mhm.
pencils or coffee, or because we didn't like their coffee. But it's it was but it's just something just to keep you happy.
Mm.
And yeah, small things please me.
Yeah, that's
But
very important.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I want to also ask, is there any upcoming projects that we should keep an eye for, or that you'd like to, let everyone know in advance?
Well, I'm going to be, I don't know the exact date,
Hmm.
but it's they said April or May. I've got a painting that's going to be auctioned at Sotheby's,
Hmm.
which is a bit exciting, but that's for charity, and that's for Fair Shot, and they um help disabled people get back into work. Um, and I'm doing that through SOTA Marketplace, and they are a an online art marketplace. And yeah, SOTA are really good. They're really good. And they I wanted to get my art on Art Lifting, but they only do people from the States.
Hmm.
I was really because they help disabled artists. So I've never considered myself disabled. And then obviously you look through everything and you think, I have a disability. And then you realize all the things that you can qualify for, in not financially, but in getting into different um uh um what's it, different groups,
Yeah.
like, yes, like different you don't have to be with Etsy, or you don't have to be, you could be with somewhere specific
Mm.
on, if you want to sell your art online. Yeah. But yeah. So if I ever come to the States, I'm going to be with art lifting, because I think art lifting are good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. If art lifting is hearing this, expand to expand.
Expand to the UK.
Love that. And yeah, finally, where can people find your work online or in person? Um,
Well, they can find it on my website, which is my name, AnnetteAspenArt.com,
mhm.
or on Instagram, which is Annette Aspen Art. But I'm also going to be at Roy's Art Fair in September
Hmm.
the 27th. That's at the Oxo Tower, London.
Awesome. Great.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Well, thank you so, so much. This was such a great interview and conversation. And now I want to go buy a canvas and start painting.
Well, then I think you should. I think you should. It's one of those things that I just think that anybody that can have a go, they just even get the urge, should just go for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because you know, you might have a big blank space on your wall above your settee, and you might think, oh, I really could really do with a picture there. Wouldn't it be lovely if you just bought a canvas and just threw some paint at it and did one yourself? Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
And it just, honestly, I just think that would be, why don't people do it?
Mhm.
Because you can. You don't have to spend a fortune. And
Yeah.
it's it's meaningful as well.